Bonsoir, good evening, Ani. We'll start with the land acknowledgement. I'd like to begin the meeting by acknowledging that we are in the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe peoples in the Robinson-Huron Treaty Area and wish to recognize the neighboring community of Doki's First Nation. While we meet today, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands which we each call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationship between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. From coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all the Inuit, Métis, and First Nation people that call this land home. And with that, I need a mover and a seconder for the adoption of the agenda. Dave and Bob. Do we have any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Delegations, 5.1. We have a presentation of the annual operating report, Novel Wastewater System by the Ontario Clean Water Agency. So we have with us Fred Beauvais and Ted Smiter, and they will give us a presentation.
Good evening. My name is Fred Beauvais with Ontario Clean Water Agency. I am the Senior Operations Manager. Just a quick overview of your annual report. I'll just start with the rated capacity of the facility is 477 cubic meters per day within the village of Noelville. Service population, there's 193 connections and approximately 800 population on the system. The effluent receiver is the Wolf River, 2 lagoon cells, and a class 1 wastewater treatment. The spring seasonal discharge of the north cell was completed between April 24th and May 8th, 2024, with a total volume of 35,743 cubic meters. The sampling parameters, there were a few that were, or actually one of them that was exceeded during the spring discharge, which I will go over later. The autumn seasonal discharge of the south cell was completed between October 16th and November 4th and consisted of a total volume of 59,034 cubic meters. TSS was exceeded during that autumn release as well. The total effluent discharge from the lagoons for the year was 94,786 cubic meters. The total raw flow into the lagoons for the year was calculated at 88,074.6 cubic meters. The facility operator collects grab samples of the raw sewage and sends them to our accredited lab. Raw flows are calculated using flow meter. The BOD5, the TSS, the total phosphorus, and the nitrogen are all collected monthly, and the flow is calculated daily. The facility operator collects effluent samples and sends them to the accredited lab for analysis twice a week during the drawdown. The effluent volumes are estimated by measuring the drawdown levels and the total volume of the cell. Compliance limits are based on seasonal discharges for effluent concentrations and effluent loadings. These values, they're calculated by combining the north and the south cell results for each discharge period. Loading limits are set for autumn discharges only and are calculated using seasonal average concentrations and total seasonal volumes. So in the spring discharge, our average CVOD was 8. Our objective is 15 milligrams per liter, and our concentration compliance is 25 milligrams. TSS, our spring discharge was 30.5, and our objective is 20, and our compliance concentration is 25. Our total phosphorus is 0.2 was the average. Our objective is 0.8. And concentration compliance is 1. The TAN 1.1, and pH was within 6 to 9.5, throughout the discharge. I will just go over the monthly average flows. So we have a monthly average of 240.69 cubic meters per day, which the municipality has a limit of 350, and your ECA states 470 per day. So we're below that, but in the spring, runoff, rain, infiltration, those daily numbers are usually higher. Our maximum peak flow was 1,240 cubic meters per day. Which again, it's an average over the 12 months, and we're below our 377. The average raw flow, sewage flow, sorry, was 240. We're approximately 50% of the rated capacity. The highest recorded peak, like I said, which was in April of 1,240 meters cubed, was approximately 260% of the rated capacity. The total raw flow into the lagoons for the year was calculated at 88,074 cubic meters. The municipality has an objective of 350, and the average flows did not exceed the municipality's objective. Heavy flows are, like I stated, usually in the spring months due to snow melt and infiltration. Seasonal discharges took place in the spring and the fall. The spring discharge of the north cell was completed between the 24th of April and May 8th for 15 days. And like I said, consisted of 35,000 cubic meters. The autumn, which was the south cell, completed in October to November 4th for 20 days and consisted of 59,034 cubic meters. Compliance objectives for the limits for the TSS, or the total suspended solids, were exceeded during the spring and the autumn. The total phosphorus objective limit was exceeded, but our concentration limit was not. All other compliance and objective limits were met during both discharge periods. The operator didn't observe any free floating or settable solids, nor did they notice any effluent in which it contained oil or any other substance in any sufficient amount to create a visible sheen or foam or anything on the or discoloration on the receiving waters. A total volume of 94,786 cubic meters was discharged in 2024. In effort to meet the effluent objectives, we treat the lagoons with ferric sulfate prior to discharge. Treatments occurred during the spring and the autumn to lower the total phosphorus after reviewing the results collected by the operator. Based on the above monitoring programs and sample records, the sewage works provided adequate treatment within the required average daily flows while providing a quality effluent. During the spring discharge, the effluent TSS was exceeded the prescribed value in the facility's ECA. The first sample was collected and had a result of 77 milligrams per liter. However, samples collected after that, April 29th, May 2nd, May 8th, had results of 20 milligrams, 16 milligrams, and 9 milligrams respectively. The first sample was collected immediately after the discharge valve was opened, and the effluent chamber likely had debris mixed in there with his sample. During the autumn seasonal discharge, the TSS was exceeded the facility's ECA. Again, the last sample was collected on November 4th and had a result of 262. However, the samples collected prior to that, which were October 16th, October 22nd, October 25th, October 29th, had a result of 5, 7, 25, 23 respectively. When the last sample was collected at the lagoon, it was almost empty. The effluent, the sample should have been collected on the Thursday and closed the lagoon by then. We had new operators in, so they weren't aware of implications it has. So it shouldn't have went over the weekend where we could have shut it off on the Thursday or the Friday and not let it get so low to increase those numbers. So when you get a sample at the end of the run that's high in TSS, it's obviously going to throw the rest of our numbers off. So we've went through training sessions with them, and all the operators are obviously well aware to when to collect their samples and when to shut the lagoons down. There was no spills, there was no bypasses in 2024. There was some maintenance, which is attached in Appendix B. We had done some collection system flushing. We had done some collection system camera work, manhole inspections, and the small LeClaire lift station pump, which had to be pulled and eventually replaced. And that is about it. No modifications didn't occur to the facility. And nothing to the ECA. There is reports in the back of all the work that was completed or of the maintenance that was completed by the operators, monthly work orders, monthly samples, quarterly work orders. I think that's about it. Like I said, the TSS and the phosphorus, that doesn't usually happen, but we had multiple discussions with the new staff on the importance of when to sample and when to close those cells so that we don't throw the numbers off.
Okay, thank you, Fred. You're Fred, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure. Does anybody have any questions for Fred or no?
No.
Okay, well, we thank you very much for coming out. Thanks for the report.
No problem.
Thanks
Anybody has
for
any
doing the
questions later,
training.
just send an email or give me a call.
Hey, sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks.
You have a good drive home. So are we accepting the report? Nope. Okay. So we'll continue on with section 6, reports and items for consideration. We have 6.1.1, the affordable housing project. We have a recommendation to adopt the municipal capital housing facility bylaw. And our clerk, Melanie, will speak to that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the municipal capital housing facilities bylaw is part of our affordable senior housing project. And if Mark, the CAO or Mark, the treasurer, has anything to add, they will add. So municipal capital housing facilities bylaw is passed by municipal government to authorize support for affordable or social housing projects. It allows a municipality to provide financial or other forms of support such as tax exemption, land donations, grants, or loans to help develop or maintain affordable housing. These bylaws are enabled by the Municipal Act, permitting municipalities to assist in the provision of municipal capital facilities, including housing facilities. Once this type of bylaw is enacted by the municipality, it authorizes a municipality to enter into agreements with housing providers such as DESCON or developers to define the terms of support and ensure the housing remains affordable. Sorry, the housing provider is not DESCON, it is the non-for-profit organization. The financial implications for this specific project will be exempting the property from property taxation. It is recommended that council pass the municipal capital housing facilities bylaw. And then once this is adopted at a subsequent meeting, we will bring the agreement for the affordable housing with the French River Nonprofit Housing Corporation, which is our not-for-profit board. Are there any questions?
Any questions? No, seeing none, I would need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Bob and Councillor Willie.
Going to read the motion. So moved and seconded, be it resolved that bylaw 2025-27, being a bylaw to provide for municipal capital facilities for municipal housing project facilities, be read at first, second, and third time and finally passed.
All those in favor? Okay. 6.2 finances. We have none tonight. 6.3 Public Works and Environmental Services are nil. 6.4 Recreation and Community Services nil. 6.5 Emergency and Protection Services. We have 6.5.1 Backyard Hens Survey Results. And we have a recommendation, but we'll let you speak to it first, Andrea.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. This is the result of the public survey that was put out to residents of the municipality between October 2024 until March of 2025. It was put into the February newsletter and also available at the municipal office in paper form to make it as accessible as possible. We did receive 78 respondents, with the majority of respondents living on smaller sized properties of less than 5 acres. An interesting note, we added a question for before and after the survey was taken to see how much people supported the idea of backyard hens, with the idea that taking the survey might be the first time anyone's really thought about whether they wanted to have backyard hens or not. So thinking about it might have changed some ideas, which actually in this municipality, we saw the biggest change from before the survey till after. Still with strong or somewhat supportive of the overall idea of keeping backyard hens outside of rural properties, but with a little bit less after going through the questions that we asked. To remind council, right now, only our rural zoned properties are allowed to keep livestock, which includes chickens. And because we've seen some public interest in the ability to keep backyard hens, this is why we put out the public survey. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, it's echoing a bit on my end. Okay, so the results were were given to council to review. Is that better? Thank you. Oh, that's better. Overall, there was support for allowing backyard hens on residential properties, but possibly predictably, there was less support when it was asked if houses closer together should have backyard hens, if waterfront residential properties, especially those closer together, should have backyard hens, had less support overall, but still over the 50% mark. Residents were split on whether multiple residential properties should be allowed to have backyard hens, almost at exactly 50%. We asked questions about whether backyard hens how many hens should be allowed on properties. Most respondents felt that there should be some restriction, with the most support being dependent on property size. Also, with as little as 5 hens on smaller properties up to 15. Concerns that came up from the public, although people were generally in support of allowing backyard hens in each residential zone, like I said, homes that were less than 100 feet away from each other, we saw a little bit less support from the respondents. There was concerns about odor, sanitation, and wildlife attraction. Those were the biggest concerns from the public. And some of the general comments focused on making sure that there was enforcement around proper setbacks, not allowing chickens to run at large, sanitation, and also coop construction. Regardless of whether people supported or didn't support backyard hens, many of the general comments basically said that, yes, I'm in support, but they have to be treated well. They have to be kept in such a way that they don't affect my property. Probably not a surprise, but that was the general information that came from the respondents. We had many respondents spoke of the advantages of having backyard hens, including the educational experience and being able to provide food and help reduce food waste. I did mention because it was the first time I saw it anywhere that someone thought there should be a licensing program, but staff does not support the idea of a licensing program and instead favoring the idea of education and clear guidelines. So taking all of this information into account, which I will open up for questions if council has any, staff is suggesting that we could work on a draft bylaw to bring to council for further discussion that would address the issues that were brought up in the survey. So allowing backyard hens on residential zones with a tiered approach to the number of hens allowed based on property size, which would include providing property size based limits, implementing clear expectations on coop size, cleanliness, and waste disposal, restricting hens in multi-unit dwellings unless agreements could be made between landlords and residents sharing a property, addressing predator concerns by requiring proper enclosures, providing educational resources, ensuring proper planning for waste disposal, and also clear expectations for waste disposal, and requiring setbacks to address public concerns of having hens too close to neighbors. So as a staff, we are recommending to council that we be directed to provide a draft bylaw for further public review and also for council to discuss. We are working on a draft bylaw already with the other 3 municipalities. They have decided that it was something that they would like to continue to pursue, if not outright support at this point. So I'll open it up to questions to council and answer what I can.
Does anybody have any questions? Dave?
Not so much a question. I'm gonna wait for questions to see the draft bylaw, because I'm a little bit on the fence with this, especially waterfront lots and lots like right in town. But at the same time, there's a lot of smaller lots that are not right in town or on the water. And there has to be some kind of restrictions, but I'm gonna hold off to see the draft before I ask too many questions. I think we're good to go ahead with that, in my opinion, with the draft.
Does anybody else have any questions? No? Dean? Go ahead.
Any idea how many people are keeping chickens now?
To you, no. We really don't receive a lot of complaints about backyard hens. This is something that wasn't really led by the municipality of French River, honestly. This type of bylaw really came from other municipalities who have had issues. But we really don't receive a lot of complaints about backyard hens. So yeah, I guess that's the short answer. So I don't know.
I know we have almost a neighbor not very far away from us that's got hens. He's got built a nice chicken coop and everything for them. And I'm sure they're not bothering anybody, but I guess if we're looking at a bylaw, there will have to be some protection for neighbors, depending on distances and from chicken coops and whether they're keeping a rooster with those hens or not, because they can be noisy. And when I was a youngster, before we moved up here to Canada, we had a lot of chickens. We lived in a rural farming area, so there was lots of chickens. I have an idea what it's like to have chickens. And any number of them, if you get into any size, becomes quite a bit of work too. And there's a lot more to it than just having chickens in a coop and collecting eggs. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. But like Dave, I'd be interested to see what the draft bylaw looks like.
Thank you. That just made me think of something. So when we do receive complaints, our bylaw, like our laws are very clear that anything except for rural is allowed to have hens. So it can cause a lot of issue, even if your neighbor doesn't cause any problems. But if we do get a complaint that there are hens, they could not be causing a problem, but they would still be asked to remove them. So this is where, again, we come to a point in our legislation that if it's done properly, do we have a problem? If it's not done properly, we could enforce. So I know that even outside of villages, and this is just another education piece, we do have large rural properties, but we also have acreage but it's considered residential rural or rural residential, which is not allowed to have livestock. So, you know, a lot of people who live on 5 or 10 acres would have no problem with having chickens because of course they think they should be allowed. Currently, our laws don't allow it unless you're a rural property. So I do think that we have to keep in mind the houses that are closer together, but there are even some larger properties that are out in the rural areas that right now are not allowed.
Interesting.
Councillor Bob?
Yes, thank you through you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the good work for the survey and all that and bring the information forward. I agree with Dave and Dean and what you just said, if it's done properly. We're lucky we don't have any problems, but maybe we should be proactive and have a bylaw in place and cover ourselves for the future. And again, thank you for the good work.
And I think it's, nowadays, in the last few years, we've seen a lot of people try to go more organic and try to have their own chickens in their, so maybe it is a very good idea that we start looking at having some kind of a bylaw. And like you say, the bigger rural or not rural properties right now, you know, they have the land, but they're technically not allowed. So I think it just makes sense that we do go ahead. So I believe we need a mover and a seconder, and we'll have a resolution to allow them to. So Councillor Willie and Councillor Roger.
It is moved and seconded. Be it resolved that council directs staff to produce a draft backyard hens bylaw to permit and regulate the keeping of backyard hens in the municipality of French River, reflecting the survey results as reported and concerns brought forth by council on June 4th, 2025.
All those in favor? Okay, thank you, Andrea, for that report. So we'll continue on to 6.5.2, travel trailer license bylaw. And we have a recommendation to adopt a bylaw to amend bylaw 2021-51, travel trailer license bylaw. And again, we'll let Andrea speak to this and then we can ask questions afterwards.
Thank you through you, Madam Chair. Because we are a shared service for bylaw especially, sometimes in the pacing or the timing of passing a bylaw, when one municipality passes a bylaw and others are a bit behind, there can be some review that brings up good ideas for amendments to the ones that have already been passed. So this is what we're presenting tonight. Municipality of French River was the first municipality of our subs group to pass this bylaw. And changes were requested from other municipalities, especially around the use of vacant land. Currently, if you have a building permit in place, you are allowed to stay on your property in a travel trailer to help you spend time on the property to build your house or your garage or whatever it is that you're building, which is very helpful because some people are coming here from far distances. It allows contractors to stay overnight. But we don't have the same kind of provision for somebody who has purchased land. They're not ready to get their building permit yet, but they want to improve the land, either removing trees, installing driveways, putting in septic systems, all the things that wouldn't necessarily yet get you to a building permit, but that your intention is to get one within 1 or 2 years. So we have allowed for a vacant land preparation license with other municipalities' travel trailer licensing bylaws, and it has been something that people have taken advantage of. So instead of spending time on the property but not being in compliance, people are able to work with us to also communicate with the building department to say their intentions are to build. It's been a nice way to work with people to work on their property through the development process. So this additional license would allow people to spend time on their properties, staying in a travel trailer, as long as they're working towards the intention of getting a building permit. And that agreement would be put in place with the chief building official. There would be dates associated with the expectation of either getting a permit or removing the travel trailer. and there would be a licensing fee associated with it. So I see it as a nice way to help people develop who want to develop in our municipality, but it's going to take a couple of years to get to that stage. So we are recommending to council that we make the appropriate changes to the travel trailer license to allow for that license to be included. Also, when we did some review, we noticed that there was a couple other changes that we could address at this time. We found that there was better language for section 1, which outlines, I'm just reminding myself what the change was, just a moment. Oh, adding language to allow officers to lay charges on a daily basis if the individual fails to comply. This is language that we're looking to add to most of our bylaws as we go through review, just so that we can have an escalation of enforcement if it's required. And also section 5.8, we made the language more clear about when a license may be revoked. So that basically we could revoke a travel trailer license if setbacks were not followed. That language wasn't included in the French River draft. So if council has any questions about those changes, I'll open it up to everyone now.
Seeing none? A comment? Yeah, go ahead, Billy.
Through you, Madam Mayor, just a comment. I was very impressed with going through the document and how comprehensive it was and the forethought that went in. So I have to say, I have to commend you guys for that.
Thank you. I think it's a good to add that to the bylaw. So I think we should have something for those building and those that are intended and want to build in the future. So go ahead, Councillor Bob.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. The $400 fee, is that a one-time fee? Because some of these properties can be, I know you said they'd be dates, but is it going to be per case? Some of these people might take 2 years, 3 years, doing it slowly, pre-retirement to get their property ready.
Through you, Madam Chair, we're proposing it's to be a yearly fee because I do understand if it takes a couple of years to work on the property. We will be looking for actual work on the property. That will be part of the agreement to state that this is our expectation, that you are here to develop your property, not just to come in summer in your travel trailer, because we are always trying to work towards development. But yeah, we're proposing that it be a yearly fee so that we can work with the residents to help them in their project.
If I may, Madam Chair, I wouldn't mind seeing this $400 fee being a one-time fee, just to encourage people to build and welcome them to our municipality. Because like I say, it's a long-range pre-retirement plan that they're building up to it. And if they just want to put the trailer there without any work, then it just becomes a regular trailer bylaw. Does it not?
Through you, Your Worship, I think maybe council could discuss that. To me, I think that the incentive of not having to pay that fee would be something that they would maybe take into account when they were doing the work on the property. You know, I am finding that most people who are purchasing property in our area now are looking to develop it. They're not looking to hold on to it like maybe they had in past years. People are buying and they are building. But there's just usually that window of time where they just need to spend some time on the property first to figure out where everything should go, to take some time. I think if anyone is taking, you know, if anyone's just told here, you can just pay $400 and then you can have your travel trailer on the property. It also, sorry, were you just saying it kind of incentivizes us to review? Yeah. Thank you. It will take time for us to keep up with this, to go onto the property to see if they are following the setbacks, if they are still doing work. With the idea of the cost being covered by that licensing fee, staff thinks that it should be an annual fee.
Willie, go ahead.
I have to agree with the message, in essence, what Bob's trying to say. You want to be welcoming, but I also agree that we want to incentivize people to progressively develop their properties. I would be open to even reviewing that if somebody was working actively towards something and they were held up through no fault of their own, then maybe we can review after the fees have been put in year to year to year, then review the whole process and maybe if there was a rebate to be had at the end of that for incentive. But I do think that people should be, there should be a fee year to year to year until completion. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Willie. Counselor Bob and then Counselor Roger. No, Counselor Dave. Sorry.
I was gonna comment on something else, but just my comment on the $400, I think it should be a yearly thing because it's a cost recovery thing. And we can't put that cost on the general tax. That should be the cost of whoever's having the trailer there, because we do have to do an inspection and make sure that, like she says, make sure that they're complying with what needs to be done. So that $400 is not a lot. I just want to make sure too that we are following all the same rules as all the other trailer bylaws, like as far as sewage being handled properly and all that, everything's the same for this.
Through you, Madam Chair, yes, that's the expectation. So they'll still be filling out the same application form.
Mhm.
And at the end, they would just be ticking off that they're applying for the vacant land, but there'll still be the other expectations.
Okay. Counselor Roger.
Through you, Madam Chair. I believe I read somewhere, I was trying to find it now, that if they applied for a building permit, the fee would be waived as far as having a trailer. I don't know, maybe I read it wrong. Yeah, be no fee if they applied for a building permit.
That is correct.
Oh, that's
So
correct?
if they purchase their property and right away apply for a building permit, or don't spend time in a travel trailer and then apply for their building permit in the meantime, there would be no need for this.
Okay,
It would be more for people who just needed that extra summer or two to get things sorted out so they could be ready to apply.
all right, thank you.
Melanie.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just to clarify, so the fee is not actually adopted through this bylaw. It's adopted through the fees and related charges bylaw. So if council wishes for staff to maybe give more a clarification or analysis on the fee, we can do that once we present you with the fee adoption.
So I think right now we're just looking to add the recommendations. So we would need a mover and a seconder to add those to the, so Counselor Roger and Counselor Dave. And then like Melanie said, then we can discuss that when you come back with the other bylaw.
Yep, that's correct.
The draft, yep. Okay, you can go ahead.
So this bylaw tonight, though, the amendments are being adopted. It's just so the fee was added to the form, but the fees are adopted through another bylaw. So this evening, we're adopting the amendments. So it is moved and seconded, being resolved that bylaw 2025-26, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2021-51, a bylaw to license travel trailers in the municipality of French River, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
All those in favor? Okay, we're good. Thank you, Andrea. And thanks for the all the hours you guys spend on these trailer bylaws. It's been a few years. We keep tweaking them, though. That's what we said we would do as we went along. So 6.6, building and planning and development is nil. We have correspondence, 7.1. We have Centre de Santé Univi Health Center. We have a request to recognize June as a Pride Month. So we're gonna let our clerk, Melanie, speak to this.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we received correspondence, a request from the Centre de Santé Univi. I'm just going to read the message. So as you know, June is recognized as Pride Month, a time dedicated to celebrating the diversity, resilience, and contributions of the two SLGBTQIA+ communities It is also an important moment to reflect on the significance of equality, inclusion, and the ongoing promotion of human rights for everyone, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity. At the Univie Health Center, we are committed to fostering inclusive communities where everyone feels welcomed, safe, and valued. In this spirit, we seek the municipality's support to highlight Pride Month. A local member of the community has generously donated several pride flags, they're 3x5, hoping they can be hoisted on municipal flagpoles throughout June. The symbolic gesture would represent a strong message of inclusion and support, clearly demonstrating that all members of our community have their space and are valued, have their place and are valued. We respectfully ask that you consider the possibility of raising the pride flag during June. Your support would send a powerful message of acceptance and contribute to building a more welcoming and inclusive community. If you agree, I will bring the flags to you.
Does anybody have any questions or go ahead, Counselor Willie?
You, Madam Chair. After reading this, I had some apprehension with respects to our flagpole real estate. I was always under the impression that municipal or government flagpole should be for the Canadian flag, the Ontario flag, and then our municipal flag. I actually had to make some phone calls and because I don't know very much about this topic, so I had to educate myself rather rapidly on this. And I was informed that this community has experienced, I guess, unwelcome or even some harms in some cases, and this is a way to express that they are welcome and in an inclusive way in our community. I wish they already felt that way. I wish that we didn't have to do this, go this extra step. I'm a little worried that if we allow one organization to be highlighted, what's the next organization that's going to be highlighted? And then where does it stop and what criteria needs to be met before we negate or approve? Those are just my concerns moving forward with raising the flag on the flagpole. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Counselor Dean?
First, I'd like to ask a question. Do we have any kind of a policy on who can have a flag on our municipal flagpoles?
We do not. And it's something that has often been discussed between the mayor and staff, but we do not have a policy at this point.
Well, perhaps
Yeah.
we should have before we have any organization asking or acquiring a place on our flagpoles and municipal flagpoles. My concern without having a policy is who will not be asking for the same privilege, and we'll have to be looking at that with the same view that we're looking at this request here at this time. And I mean, I'm going to just say, because I'm speaking personally, I have absolutely no qualms or concerns about that particular organization or the people who make it, who are the people who are the members of the organization. But I just think that we should be careful about who we grant that kind of a request to without a firm policy in place, or otherwise we're going to be asked by other organizations sooner or later for the same privilege. And I think that we should think twice about this. And if perhaps the best thing is that we move a motion today, that we develop a policy and we put some criteria into what we are going to use to allow that sort of privilege on our flagpole. So.
Okay, so I think for this special request, it should be a yes or a no for vote for this time around. In all the years I've lived in French River, I don't think this is probably the second or third time we've been asked to put up an extra flag. A few times, not too often. I don't know if we have to go to the extreme of needing a policy. But maybe that's something we could look at down the future. But for today, we're just voting on this for the month of June. And so, do we have I guess I would, if you guys are in favor of this or not, we would need a mover and a seconder. Mark, did you want to speak to this?
No, if council's direction is to look at developing a policy, we can certainly do that in time. But again, a lot of the requests are based on case by case basis. I'm not so sure how much we can put into policies to address every single situation, but we can certainly take a stab at it. The other thing that we've done in the past, I think we flew the flag in the lobby to recognize individuals as another example, so.
Go ahead, Mel.
Maybe just to add something. So I realize that we only have 2 flagpoles and there are some criteria on what we may fly with the Canadian flag. So I know that there are some policies that do exist. So to avoid any, I don't want to say, I know that in the past, we've been requested to fly the autism flag. And what we had done in the absence of having enough room on our flags, we had offered a space in our lobby where we had presented the flag and any brochures, information that they wanted to add. So we had kind of dedicated a spot for Autism Month. So maybe it would be something that council can consider, or that we could add it to the flagpole. So.
Sounds good. Anybody else? Go ahead, Willie, and then Councillor Bach.
I'm glad you brought that up, Madam Clerk. That's exactly what I'm thinking, that if we could have even like a little area that would highlight and educate and bring to light the plight, that would be fantastic. Flyers, brochures, informationals, like within the building or a spot, or even a flag on a window. I'm okay with all of those things.
Okay, so maybe we direct staff to look at something like Mark said and for the future months. So did you want to say something, Bob, or?
Just, yes, I agree. Just staff can, I have no objections. Maybe 30, 40 years ago, I would have had an objection. Life changes. I have changed. Our municipality is changing. Let's be welcoming. Let's be good citizens.
Accept each other for who we
And
are.
this is the first time a request like this has come to the table since I've been here in the last 5, 6 years. So I think if we go case by case for now, if we get one request per month, maybe we could look at a policy.
Sounds
my
good to
comments.
me. So do we need a mover and a seconder, Mel, for the flag, or? So Councillor Dave and Councillor Bob. Okay.
I'm just going to read what I wrote. If anybody wants to change something or add, I just wrote that council recognizes June as Pride Month in the municipality of French River and agrees to dedicate an area in the municipal complex lobby to show our support and send a strong message of inclusion and support, clearly demonstrating that all members of our community have their place and are valued.
All those in favor? Thank you.
And also staff will, like, without being in the resolution, staff will look at a policy and look at how others handle it.
Thank you. So I need a mover and a seconder for the consent agenda. So Councillor Dean and Councillor Dave.
Be it resolved, the council approves the items of the consent agenda under section 8.1 and receives the items under section 8.2.
All those in favor? 8.3, items for consideration or information is nil. We have no bylaws. There's no item separated from the agenda and noticeable motions either. Announcements and inquiries. Ready to go with Counselor Dave?
Can't think of anything right now.
Okay. Counselor Dean?
I'll only mention that we've had a very easy spring with water levels in the river. We've not had any difficulties, and we're seeing the water rapidly getting to summer levels, and nobody's that I know of had any damages to speak of at all down in our area. So I think we're very fortunate. But I don't know whether we could say that it was just well managed or we were just lucky, or both. So I'll put it like that. That's all.
Thank you. Counselor Willie?
I'll just continue on from where Dean left off. I've actually received phone calls from people on the river very appreciative of the water, the way the water was managed this year. And I guess it's luck, but I'll take that win. And other than that, I had a meeting with the chamber the other day, and we were talking about the gala and getting prepared for that. That's going to be in November again this year. And we're just working out memberships and trying to get the word out about the chamber.
Thank you. Counselor Bob?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just since our mayor is not here to remind us that next Friday on the 13th is the seniors dinner in Alvin. I'm saying that because I saw in our minutes our seniors month last time. I had forgotten. So I'm just mentioning it. Our seniors complex work is going on tremendous. They're working outside. They're in the last building. I was there Monday. They're doing flooring. They have about 4 or 5 apartments to finish the flooring, and everything is painting and is following. Talked to Holly this afternoon. We're at 13 confirmed residents. She's got 4 or 5 in the works. I'm showing it to a new one tomorrow in the afternoon sometime. And next week, they've developed a marketing program, John and herself. She'll be doing Sudbury with flyers and senior homes, stuff like this. They've secured a billboard on the, what is it now? Southeast bypass, I guess, from Coniston to Highway 69, where the billboard will be advertising these. And she tells me that has something like 68,000 views a day on there. So it's progressing, maybe a little slower than we had hoped for, but it's progressing, and always good. I haven't received any bad comments about it directed to me. So, and besides that, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Bob. Counselor Roger?
Through you, Madam Chair. I brought this up last year and I just want to bring it up again. Now that the snow has been gone for a while and the ditches are drying out, any resident of French River, if they see any garbage cans, whatever, on the side of the road or on their property, appreciate if you would clean it up. You know, let's keep the good name of French River, and people come here because it's nice and clean. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Roger. I think, yep. I think if we all do our part, it helps out in the long run. So I'm gonna wish for a little bit warmer weather to come our way. It's been a little cool, nice because there's no bugs. There's graduations in the next few weeks coming for all our kids in the area. So those, if you see any grade 8s or grade 12s, make sure to congratulate them. I know that the 3 schools out here are going to be, there'll be celebrations in the next few weeks for that. Other than that, I don't have too much to say, so we will continue on. And I need a mover and a seconder. Oh, we need a resolution to adopt the confirmation bylaw. Counselor Willie and Counselor Dave.
It is moved and seconded, be resolved that bylaw 2025-28 being a bylaw to confirm proceedings of the Council of the Municipality of French River at a meeting held on June 4th. Be read first, second, and third time and finally passed.
All those in favor? Good. Thank you all for joining us. And now we need a resolution to adjourn. Counselor Bob and Counselor Roger. Have a good night.